Hey there, I'm Evan, and my greedy parents sold me to a rich man because they didn't want to take care of me anymore. Well, joke's on them, because I married his beautiful daughters and became his successor. Shout out to Shadow Savior for today's story. Watch the story until the end and propose your title ideas for the follow-up for this story for a different one. Focus on originality to have more chances to be picked. If you don't have specific ideas, make sure to give a like to the title ideas you prefer in the comment and community section. Enjoy the video! When I was very young, I'd always wondered why my mom and dad would always leave me at home. They were always going out. Sometimes they never even bothered to get me a babysitter. They'd just leave me with Hildy, our dog. It's not short of a miracle that I'm still alive to this day. Even as I grew older and started going to school, I noticed how different my parents were towards me. They never took me in the mornings or picked me up after. I would catch the bus myself, and then I'd walk home after class was done. My parents never attended any of the events we had. I played a tree in the nativity play every year, but not once did they come to see it. As I grew even more, I saw other kids' parents taking them on vacations and buying them stuff. I didn't care much for what the other kids got. I just wish my parents would also give me a gift. Any gift. By the way, talking about gifts, if I haven't told you yet, here's something you guys might need. I get a lot of comments and questions from our subscribers saying they want to start their own channel, but they just don't know how to edit videos. Here's a tip. Check out this easy-to-use video editing software. Wondershare Filmora 10, today's sponsor. Just jump in and start. There are tons of presets for text, filters, overlays, and animated stickers that'll help you make videos in just 10 minutes. My favorite new feature of Filmora is AR stickers. It's designed to motion track your face by just clicking and dragging the sticker on the timeline. Then, there's the AI Portrait add-on module, which automatically removes backgrounds and video content without using green screen or chroma key. You can use this new feature to make your own thumbnails. One thing though, this new add-on is sold separately. Finally, you can go to the online stock library FilmStock. Access a massive library of over 10 million media assets, including original video effects you won't find anywhere else. Go ahead and check out the download link in the description, and you can try Filmora 10 totally free. Just remember, the free trial will have a watermark. But here's the deal. If you download Filmora now and create a simple video to your social media with the hashtags #creative and Filmora, I'll pick 3 lucky winners and offer you the free Filmora account. Come and make your first video now. Filmora has the biggest sale of the year. Get up to 30% off on Filmora Thanksgiving Day sales. Remember to take advantage of it. Now, right back to the video. But birthdays and Christmases and graduations came and went, and not once did my parents buy me anything new. I would often go hungry when they went on their long trips to some weekend party or a music festival in the middle of some desert. Sometimes, I even had to sneak into our old neighbor's house to steal leftovers from her fridge. She even caught me a couple times. But each time, she never got mad or scared. She would just give me all the food I wanted and we'd talk until it was time for bed. She would even cook me lasagna sometimes and leave it by her window so I could get it easily. All the things I had come from some relative or other. Mostly hand-me-downs from cousins or stuff they'd find discarded by the side of the road. One time, a social worker visited our house because one of the parents from school complained about the living situation my parents were providing. Or were failing to provide for me. Unfortunately, the social worker didn't even care at all. He just walked around the house and loudly proclaimed that he was just there to fulfill a quota, and that he couldn't care less about what they did to their child. My mom was actually disappointed. Ugh! And here I thought someone would finally take this stupid kid away. We should have put him up for adoption as soon as he was born. Now he's way too old, and definitely not cute enough anymore. No barren couples are gonna want this scrawny, good-for-nothing kid. My dad wholeheartedly agreed with her. Yeah, and I have to say, he's become a real burden. I don't want to use a single cent more of my hard-earned money to feed him. By hard-earned money, he meant the measly amount he made scamming old people on the phone. And would you believe they said all of this while I was sitting in front of them at the dinner table? Just then, my dad perked up. Wait, did you say Adoption? Forget it. Nobody's gonna go for it. People adopt babies, not 12-year-olds. They're a pain to deal with, and they smell. And although my mom wasn't so optimistic about the prospects of getting rid of me, they actually stumbled onto something thanks to my dad's shady friends. Some underground mafia friends of his introduced him to an old Japanese man. His name was Shuji, but I called him Chairman. One look at me and the chairman immediately made up his mind. He was going to adopt me, and he was willing to pay any price that my parents wanted. Personally, I'd happily give him to anyone for free, but since you're offering, and we did have expenses while raising him, how's, say, 40,000? The chairman stood, wrote on his checkbook, handed the piece of paper to my mother, and bowed low. I left that house with not a tear in my eyes, and my parents were jumping for joy. 40,000 richer and one less mouth to feed. But you know what? None of that mattered to me because I quickly realized they'd shot themselves in the foot. Because when I saw the chairman's house, I became certain that $40,000 was just the dirt on his shoes. The man was certainly a billionaire. No, a multi-billionaire. Wow. Mr. Chairman, sir? Is this where you live? It's so big! The chairman laughed. You can call me Shuji-san. Or Dad, if you like. But I could never disrespect him by calling him his first name. He was far too big a man. Far too important. In my eyes especially. And calling him Dad just puts him on the same level as my biological father. He was clearly beyond him. Can I choose my room, Mr. Chairman, sir? You can sleep in any of the 20 rooms, son. Or in all of them. Although, I'm not sure how you'd do that since we're only here for the night. This is just one of my holiday homes. Tomorrow we fly to Japan. Now, get some rest. You'll need it. But I didn't get any sleep at all. I was way too excited. Japan? I'd never even been out of our one-horse town, much less a different country. And if this massive house was just a holiday house, how much more impressive was his real house? The moment we landed, we were greeted by about 20 men and women in sunglasses and suits. They all bowed in unison. Many of them had tattoos, and I soon learned that my new father was a big boss of a Yakuza organization. And not only that, he was the chairman of a group of seriously influential companies in Japan. And the reason he adopted me was because he was sick, and he needed an heir to continue the work his companies did. I was going to be his successor. But when I found out he actually had daughters, I couldn't help but ask why he needed to adopt another kid. Because they're all girls. A quintuplet at that. In Japan, a man must inherit a company. Heads of influential families would go so far as to adopt a daughter's husband. It's all in order to keep the last name going, and to ensure that the company is in the hands of the same family no matter what. It's a horrible tradition that I hope disappears one day. But, nevertheless, I am under pressure to do the same. A daughter's husband. Yes, I will raise you as my son, Evan. But it is so that you could have my last name and marry one of my daughters. You will be my successor. But, Mr. Chairman, sir, why me? My daughters were very particular about what kind of boy they wanted, and I could never say no to them. And when I found you, I felt pity for what those horrible parents of yours did to you, and I knew if anyone could undo the bad they did, it was me. I actually began to cry at how kind the chairman was. But then the car we were in drove into the chairman's estate, and my jaw dropped. The Japanese gardens and lavish courtyards stretched on as far as the eye can see, and the house itself was less a house and more a sprawling palace. The chairman's home was fit for an emperor. But even the palatial home was eclipsed when I first laid eyes on his daughters. My new adoptive sisters. They really were quintuplets. The only difference was in how they were dressed. They all looked like goddesses. It almost hurt to look at them. And then I remembered I was going to marry one of them someday. I felt like the luckiest guy in the world. I'd just won the jackpot. I was now rich, and someday I was gonna have a beautiful wife. All of the bad luck and the horrible experience I had suddenly felt like it was all worth it. Yui, Hana, Kiko, Sayuri, and Asami were on me from the moment we met. They couldn't get enough of me. And I don't know why. It's not like I was handsome or even remotely attractive. At least, I never thought that whenever I looked in the mirror. But somehow, the sisters just never wanted to leave my side. So much so that when it came time for me to decide which of the chairman's daughters to marry, they demanded for me not to choose. Father, please, you cannot force him to marry one of us. It will break our hearts. Please, Father.
What do you expect me to do, Sayuri-chan? It is time. I cannot work anymore. All these years have put a strain on me, and I need Evan to take my place.
The girls began to cry. They knew the chairman didn't have long. He got sicker and sicker as the years went by, but they also wouldn't be able to stand losing me to one of their sisters. And then, Yui, shy as she was, decided to speak. Father, please, let us marry him. Let all of us marry him. Big brother can't be just for one of us. We all love him too much. And although it was shocking to hear, I still felt she was right, and I loved all of them just as much. So that summer, the quintuplets and I got married. And in a few months, I was named successor and chairman of Yamamoto Industries. I was also inducted as the new boss of the former chairman's underground organization. I was rich, powerful, and had 5 beautiful wives. My old parents really did get the losing end of that bargain. They got 40,000, and I got a wonderful life and riches beyond even their imaginings. Shortly after our honeymoons, the former chairman passed away. I got to call him father one last time as he lay on his hospital bed, and he cried. Tears of happiness, he said. At his funeral, my parents appeared before we could go home.
We saw in the news. If we'd known you were coming into this kind of family, we would have asked for more.
Way more. Well, you had your chance. No! My mom shrieked as she brandished an umbrella at me. Give us what you owe us. You're worth at least millions. Give us $1 million, or else... Billions. With a B. And what? Or else what? You're gonna starve me? Why, We'll throw that dog you loved so much to the swamp! Hildy? It was always my regret that I never got to take her with me. I didn't even know she was still alive. I clicked my fingers and my bodyguards took my parents away and shoved them into the boot of a car. I confiscated their passports and they were never able to go home again. Now they live in a shack in a dump site, sifting through trash and eating food the restaurants throw away. It might be harsh, but they were garbage people. They only deserved to live the way they behaved. Oh, and I got Hildy back. She loves her new home. Loves her new home. Loves her